Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi amma ba'd. Tonight's Back to Basics class, we're going to deal with a hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I think most of you have heard it before, but for those of you who haven't heard the word before, learn it and inculcate it into your Arabic vocabulary. That word is Al-Badhadha. Al-Badhadha, like dhalika, dhalika, Al-Badhadha. The Prophet was sitting with his companions, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as he often did, being accessible to the community, not being a leader who was far out of the reach of the regular Amr, Bakr, and Zayd, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No doubt, in his house, he had someone at the door. You couldn't just knock on his door and go in. He had a guard at the house to protect himself, to take care of his time. So there's a time and place for everything. So being in the house, one thing. When he came out into the community, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was accessible to the people to the degree and the point that the slave girl would stop him in the street, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, grab his hand, being a slave girl, and begin to talk to him. And he wouldn't turn away from her, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, until she turned away from him, showing his humility and his accessibility. So the companions were sitting there and they started doing what we do, and that is talk about the dunya, the latest Ferrari, the latest expensive watch, designer clothes, this and that. They started talking about things like that. Not about the beauty of the hawk or the eagle or the beauty of the lion or the tiger. It was about the things of the dunya, about the gear, about this horse, about that and that. When the Prophet saw that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't like it. So he said to them, Ala tasma'un, Ala tasma'un, Ala tasma'un, in al-badhadata min al-iman. He said, the way you would translate is, don't you hear? Do you not hear? Don't you hear? That's the translation. But the meaning of it is, do you not know? Do you not know? Do you not know that Al-Badhadha is from Al-Iman? And he repeated it twice, showing emphasis, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Al-Badhadha, when he has a couple of meanings, we're just going to mention the two, and we're mentioning it so that we can be on top of this and aware of it in our daily lives and in our existence. Because we hear today about toxic masculinity. And we also see with our own eyes how the powers to be, the powers that are, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is Al-Qawi. But the people who are in charge, the hypocritical, unfair people with these double standards, they are pushing an agenda in which homosexuality and making men metrosexual, this thing is all over the place. So there is toxic masculinity. The Muslim man looks at the Quran and the Sunnah and he weaponizes al-Islam. He says to his wife, listen to me and obey me. And he uses Islam as a weapon. That's toxic. That's not the masculinity that is Islamic. That's not permissible. The mother, the father, being older, the father says, the older people say, you young man are to be seen and not heard. Yeah, I'm supposed to respect you because you're older than me. I'm supposed to respect you because you're my dad. But what do you mean I'm just to be seen, not heard? I'm a human being. I have something to say. So when you see me and I'm respecting you. And when you hear me, you're going to hear me and I'm respecting you. But I'm a zero. You marry me to who you want to marry me to, the girl. You force her to get married. She has something to say. So we have those extremes, the extreme of the masculinity that is not right. And then we have the opposite of that, where people are pushing this agenda. being like women. It's extreme. We should never say to our sons, don't be a girl, don't cry. What are you talking about? Rasulullah cry, Abu Bakr cry, Umar cry. Don't say that. But it's this other thing that is out there. He mentioned sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, la'anallahu al-mutashabbihina min al-rijali bin-nisa wal-mutashabbihati min al-nisa bil-rijal. Allah has cursed the men who resemble women, and Allah has cursed the women who resemble men. So that woman who's walking around looking like a dyke, in her mannerisms, looking like a dyke, even if that was her steez before Islam, she was an athlete or she went that way, you know, when she comes into Islam, she has to rectify that. She has to rectify her walk. She has to rectify her tone. And the Muslim man as well. He says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, al-Islam yajubbu ma kana qabluhu. Islam wipes away everything that went before. So if a person before Islam was a hitman, a mass murderer, an arsonist, whatever he was doing, he had AC/DC, he had sugar in his tank, honey in his tank, he was a dyke, akramakumullah, whatever it was. Once you come to Islam, you're forgiven. Put that behind you. But now you have to stop being a murderer, an arsonist. You have to start acting like a man. You have to start acting like a woman. So today's Back to Basics is about this hadith. Al-Badhadha min al-Iman. One meaning of Al-Badhadha is that it means that as men, we have to stay as close to masculinity and machoism as possible. Allah mentioned in the Quran, وَلَيْسَ الذَّكُرُ كَالْأُنْثَى. When Isa ibn Maryam's grandmother was born, and when his mother was born and his grandmother was making dua for a son, expecting a son, and came out a woman, she said, my Lord, I've delivered a woman. Allah said, Allah knows what she delivered, and the man is not like the woman. The man is not like the woman in the way we've been created physically. So al-badhadhatu min al-iman, it means stay as close to the fitra, the natural disposition of how Allah has created a man. That's the first meaning. Don't be like a woman. A woman, and this is a dalil of the impermissibility of homosexuality in Islam. Be like a man, not like a woman. If anybody asks Muslims, non-Muslims, black, white, Hispanic, Latinos, what are some of the characteristics of women? They're universal characteristics. She has riqqa. She's soft. She's smooth. She's gentle. The way she purifies herself, for an example, a man to have hair on his chest. Nobody wants a woman with hair on her chest. A man has a beard, mustache. Some women have that. But inside of them and the society, people look at that woman, that can be an issue for uqda for her. What's the uqda again? Complex. She has a complex, so she got a mustache or a beard. If a man has hairy legs, people accept that. A woman has hairy legs, ghayru maqbool. Nobody wants that. So you'll find the lady waxing her legs, shaving her legs, and that's normal, and that's what she's supposed to do. So al-badhadha means stay like a man. And this has many meanings to it. From those meanings is that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought the Quran, and the Quran asked a rhetorical question in its refutation on the kuffar of Quraysh, who used to say that the angels were the daughters of Allah, and they themselves don't like daughters, but they said that Allah, Rabbul Alameen, has daughters. So Allah asked him the question, أَوَمَنْ يُنَشَّأُ فِي الْحِلْيَةِ وَهُوَ فِي الْخِصَامِ غَيْرُ مُبِينٍ. Hey, kuffar of Quraysh, you polytheists, you pagans, is the one who grew up wearing jewelry, a girl, is the one who grew up wearing jewelry and she beautifies herself, and she doesn't have the ability to articulate clearly when she's arguing or debating. So that's an inkar of the ayat, but it describes the girl, that women, no matter how beautiful the woman happens to be, no matter how beautiful she is, she's going to wear makeup, she's going to wear jewelry, she's going to wear things to enhance her beauty that she already has, no matter how beautiful she is. That's how Allah created them. And this is another reason why we say to our shabab, we shouldn't go around walking around wearing necklaces, wearing a lot of rings on your finger. Even the ring in Al-Islam, the Nabi used to wear his ring, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, on this finger, and he prohibited the man from wearing them on other 3 fingers. Where the woman, do what you want to do, because that's her thing. He stood before the people and he picked up 2 things, silver or harir, silk, and gold. He said, "Inna hadaini haram ala dhakur ummati." These 2 things are haram for the men of my community, gold and silver. Gold and silver. Because if the man is into these opulent things and being fresh and fly all the time in front of the mirror like that, he's going to lose that masculinity. And money will make you lose that as well. We'll come to that, inshallah. His companion, Usama ibn Zayd, may Allah be pleased with him, fell down and he hurt himself when he was very young. Rasulullah, showing the people that he loved them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Lo kana Usamatu jariyatan lakasawtuhu wa zayyantuhu hatta lakasawtuha wa zayyantuha hatta tutazawwaj." He said, if Usama was a girl, hypothetically speaking, if he was a jariyah, a young girl, I would cause him to wear very beautiful clothes, and I would also enhance his beauty as a woman, a girl. I would enhance that beauty so that people would want to marry her. Hypothetical. And again, it goes to show women beautify themselves. They're the ones who are in the mirror for long periods of time. They're the ones who get manicures and pedicures. Today, the Muslim man, he just keeps his nails and that's it. Manicures and pedicures. Right now, most men, or many men, they watch sports. They watch sports. Sports today. Some of the most famous athletes today are painting their fingernails. Dwayne Wade is a person who is an influencer. Just based on the fact and on the strength, he's a famous basketball player, NBA, a champion, and he had game. He wears fingernail polish. So I don't find it strange what happened to his son. I don't find that strange. Those basketball players and football players, when they're getting on the bus to leave the game, to come to the game, some of them come out in clothes. They have pocketbooks. They wear dresses. And these are the heroes and the examples in the eyes of people who used to be masculine. I know when I was young, those football players, basketball players, they had masculinity. And that's what was impressive about them. Now, people like their game. They also are looking at their fashion statements. Al-Badhadha is the opposite of that. So the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, when he said Al-Badhadha min al-Iman, one of the meanings of that is stay a man, be a man. And that's why Imam An-Nawawi, rahimahullah ta'ala, when he explained this hadith from Sahih Muslim, he said Al-Badhadha is a tafahul, fuhula. This badhadha, it is masculinity. It is being that horse, fuhula, being like a knight. It's like knighthood. Al-Badhadha is being a man. The second meaning of Al-Badhadha here is Al-Badhadha, it means simplicity. Simplicity. The way you dress, the way you eat, the wheels you have, the car, the house you stay in. Don't go overboard. Al-Badhadhatu min al-Iman. He mentioned in that famous hadith, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-Iman is 70 something branches. The highest branch of al-Iman is La ilaha illallah. And the lowest branch of al-Iman is Izarat al-Adha and al-Tariq, taking something harmful out of the way. Between that and that is Al-Badhadha. And what is Al-Badhadha? That the mu'min is the person who doesn't go overboard. It doesn't mean it's haram. He wants to buy a Ferrari. He can buy a Ferrari. He can live in a mansion. He can get a Rolls Royce, a Phantom. He can get a $5 million watch. Allah mentioned in the Quran, "Man harrama zinatullah allati akhraja li'ibadihi wat-tayyibati min ar-rizq." Say unto Muhammad, who has the nerve, the audacity to make haram the zina of Allah from the good things that He's provided for the people. Can't make that haram. Can't make that haram. Inna Allaha jameel wa yuhibbu jamal. Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. All you got to do is look at the ocean and look at those fish. Look at this creation. Look at the constellations. Look at some of the people that Allah created, and you know that Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's not haram. You get all that stuff, but it's highly disliked. It's disliked because the more you get, the more people have hasad and haqd, envy, evil eye, jealousy. More people are clocking you, casing your home. They're going to rob you. They don't think you have any money. They're going to try to rob you. So in our culture, African Americans in particular, this hip hop culture, which is decadent, it's against the liberation of people. I don't care what color those people are. You go to any music record company and say, I want to make a song where I want to encourage the people to kill rats and dogs and animals. They're going to say, no, that's not politically correct. We're not going to let you do that. You say, okay, I want to make some music in which I can encourage black people to kill one another. They say, okay, we're going to give you money for that. We're going to give you money to call our women B's and H's. The only genre of music that is destructive like that, African Americans, that hip hop stuff. So my point about the hip hop thing is wearing all that bling. But when we see the richest people in the world, the richest people, they don't wear all that stuff. They just look regular people. Sometimes in the crowd, if you don't know them, you wouldn't know them. But the one who has to say, look at me, and look what is not from al-Iman, al-Badhadhatu min al-Iman. Simplicity. Keep it simple. Keep it easy. So with that, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam didn't make it haram for the Muslims to do and to dress and to buy nice things. He himself, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, used to encourage us, wear your nice clothes for the Eid, your Friday's best, not your Sunday's best. Like the Christians do Sundays, so they dress up and they go to church. No, wear your Friday's best. Someone gave him a very, very expensive outfit. He didn't want it. He didn't take it. Took the gift and gave it to Abdullah ibn Abbas. Radiyallahu anhu. He saw his companion had on his ring, finger he had on his finger, a golden ring, a ring of gold. He took it off forcefully and he threw it on the ground. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, the one who wears this, the man, won't have any khalaq yawmul qiyamah. In the akhirah, he have no reward. So simplicity. So what would he do? Kana yamshi حافيا أحيانا. He used to go outside and he used to walk out in public from his house to wherever he was going, and he would do that barefooted, being simple, easy. And it was easy for him to ask the rich people from the companions, Ridwanullah alayhim ajma'in, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, Abu Bakr, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, let me have some money so I could wear some really nice clothes so that people can look at me. And in society, when the non-Muslims look at him, he's dressed like that to the T, that is impressive to people. That's why when you go get a job, you have to dress up. You can't go get a job and go for an interview in your pajamas. If you go in your pajamas the way some people come to the masjid in their pajamas, they're gonna just hit the door, man. We ain't got nothing for you. Hadith said, "Inna Allah haqqun yutazayyana lahu." Allah has the most rights that you beautify yourself for Him. That you beautify. So if I go to a job interview, I won't wear pajamas. You shouldn't wear pajamas in the masjid. You should stand before Allah. Do you have to wear your Friday best every day? No. But don't be a bum. Don't be a bum. Al-Badhadha is from Al-Islam and from Al-Iman. The hairstyle today of being wild and all that kind of stuff, not from the religion. And I have to make mention of this. We had a brother in our community, he had braids. And yesterday, day before yesterday, he took his braids out. His hair was all over the place. As soon as I saw him, I said, "Oh, what? No problem. What's the story?" He was getting his hair cut. He got that braids cut, and that's what the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Man kana lahu sha'r falyukrimhu. Anyone who has hair, let him take care of it. He would go sometimes. Al-Badhadha, part of what it means is, like I said, not to be in front of the mirror like that. And look what happens with money. What happens when you go overboard and you're extravagant. The dunya, what it does. Look what happens. And I don't mean this as a knock. It's an observation because it's the reality. There are ayat and ahadith that tell us this is what's going to happen. Yushiku and tada'a ilaykum al-umam kama tada'a al-aklatu liqis'atiha. All of the nations are about to come and converge on this ummah the way the diners converge on a plate. Is that because we will be a few numbers, or you're going to be a lot of numbers, but you're going to be weak like the foam of the ocean? Allah is going to take out of the hearts of your enemies fear of you and throw into your hearts al-wahin. They said, what is al-wahin? He said, karahiyat dunya, hubb dunya wa karahiyat al-maut. You're going to love the dunya and you're going to hate to die. No jihad or whatever. But the point I want to make, the observation. You look in the Middle East, where there's a lot of oil, and that oil raised the level, the social level, the economic level of the people in the Middle East. They started building malls and building buildings. The way they dress, nothing wrong with that. But the man is always like just in the middle, in the mirror. That's his thing. Very crisp. This is just like that. Now you see what has happened to our ummah in that with all that money, still can't do anything about Palestine. We're not going to do anything about Palestine. We'll try to be diplomatic. But look in some of the Muslim lands where they don't have a lot of money like that. Like the people from Uzbekistan. Where's that mixed martial artist from Habib? Where's he from? Russia? What part of Russia? Yeah, Dagestan. Look at the people who come from that area and look how rugged they look. Normally, they look rugged. They look like men. Now you have some people who don't look rugged from, and you have people in the Middle East, in the Khalij, who look rugged. But generally speaking, the men in the Gulf, they have this hay'ah about themselves, generally speaking, It's not like people from Africa, even the Arabs from Morocco, from Tunis, even those people, they have a rugged nature. Like you look like, al-fuhula, masculine. When you have a lot of money, a lot, you eat a lot, you throw it away, you waste, and that's what it is, then we fall in love with the dunya and the necessary sacrifices that men have to make for the deen. We fall back and kind of go to sleep on those issues. So al-Badhadha is being in the middle, once again, as it relates to the money that Allah Ta'ala has given you. Once again, we want to mention this. We don't make haram on people expensive things. If you can afford it, you do it properly, you feel Allah in what you're doing, it's permissible. But generally speaking, it's something that is disliked. So from the benefit of this hadith, al-Badhadha is from al-Iman, is really important, from the benefit. When we're talking about the dunya, we're not mentioning any ayat and we're not reminding of each other of a hadith. We're not telling each other about wisdoms. It's just kalam fadik, just kalam. Oh yeah, man, he brought that cat. You see how his cat, no, a real cat, not the guy, a cat. And then we spend 35 minutes, an hour talking about a cat. Rasulullah didn't allow Muslims to buy or even sell cats because it is safsaf. It's not worthy of our attention, a cat. He didn't allow us to go and buy a cat or to sell a cat. He said Allah loves, Allah yuhibbu ma'ali al-umur. He loves the exalted things. Build communities, build infrastructure, build institutions. Learn how to protect yourself. Learn how to drive, and all that. He loves that. And he hates those things that are insignificant. Wasting time on PlayStation, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a day on PlayStation. Allah doesn't love that. So from the benefit is that the Salaf, if people continue to just talk about the dunya and there was no kalam except that kalam, someone would interject and say, let's switch this kalam. Or they would remind the people of the religion, like the Prophet did, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The companions were talking about the dunya and things like that, and he said, do you not hear? Do you not hear? Do you not hear? Because he didn't like that kalam. It was just too much. So that's from the benefit. The Salaf as well used to not mention women in their majlis. The majlis of knowledge, when they were getting knowledge, if someone mentioned something about a woman, like, and I can't wait till I get married because when I get married, and they would say, you have to exit from our halaqah. They didn't allow that kind of kalam. There's a time for that, but this is not the place, this is not the time for that. From the benefits of the hadith as well, is that it shouldn't be understood that Islam is against cleanliness, because al-Badhadha, it means you should go sometimes without putting lotion on. You should go sometimes without putting oil in your hair. You comb your hair, you look presentable, but he went out sometimes without shoes to remind himself, came from the dirt, I'm going to return to the dirt. If he was eating something and it fell out of his hand, he would pick it up, wipe it off and eat it. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would ride his horse without a saddle. The companions used to treat their riding beasts the way we treat our cars, but the way they treated their riding beasts was so that the beast will help them to get carried from place to place, to carry the dawah and so on. So this hadith doesn't go against purity and cleanliness. He said, at-tuhur shatrul iman, cleanliness is half of faith. No conflict between this hadith, al-Badhadha min al-iman, and Allah is beautiful, He loves beauty. You have to stay clean, have to wear nice, clean things and so forth and so on. Last point that we want to mention is humility is a characteristic that is pleasing to Allah Azza wa Jal and loved by and appreciated by the people as well. When a person is acting high sedity and bourgeois. Bourgeois. How do you say bourgeois the correct way in French? No, there are a lot of French words like déjà vu. I know it didn't say it like that. How do you say déjà vu? Yeah. If people are acting bourgeois, people tend not to want to be in their company. When people are having Al-Badhadha, they're easily accessible. Anybody wants to sit with them. He sits with anybody. And that's how the dawah, it rolls with social skills. Us being people's people. We know how to deal with people, bring them close, as opposed to doing things that are running them away. Inna fikum al-munaffirin. Inna fikum munaffirin. Verily from you are those who run people away. You run them away because you're too rough, you're too tough. You run them away because you're antisocial. You run them away because the way you speak, the way you're doing something, they can't feel that. It doesn't work with them. So you got to get this dawah in a way that it is applicable and appropriate to the audience and the people that we're dealing with. That's why we had this class, Back to Basics. I'm shocked sometimes when I'm looking at some people speak about aspects of Al-Islam, and we just have a regular group of regular people, and a person is talking about a jarh wa ta'deel and trying to break that down. Come on, man. Or some other high-powered, high exalted level of knowledge. The Prophet, there was this issue, and I'm done with this, is the Prophet's mother and the father, are they non-Muslims? Allahumma naam, they're non-Muslims. They're going to go to the hellfire with texts from the Quran and the Sunnah. I saw Hamza Yusuf talking about this, mixing the thing all up. And then he said to the people, now if I really were to explain all what I need to explain from Usul fiqh, and he started talking about principles that didn't have anything to do with the thing, and the people can't understand. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Inshallah, this is what we're upon. Al-Badhadha min al-Iman. Okay, Ikhwani, if you brothers have any questions, you could put your questions forward. Silk. At first I said silver, but I said silk. Al-Harir. Oh, I didn't correct it. Thank you, brother. Harir and gold. Harir and gold are not permissible. Tfadhali ya akhi Jassim. Something taqwa in here. What? Yeah, when we look at those rich companions, we see that they didn't go overboard in their lives with what they had. They didn't go overboard. They used that money to help Al-Islam. The ayah of the Quran that was revealed because of Abu Talha al-Ansari, who was the richest companion in Medina. Allah Ta'ala mentioned about his situation, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرِّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. This man married Sulaym, he became a Muslim just to marry her. She said, you say La ilaha illallah, you propose? He said, no, you're mushrik, I'm a Muslim. But if you accept Islam, I'll marry you. He accepted Islam just to marry her. When she showed him how the Muslim wife is, her children, his stepchildren. He saw how they were. There was no animosity like we have today. A man marries a girl and she has children. He has to compete with the kids like that. Problem. And then Islam became really good. And Allah revealed that ayat saying about him, you will not obtain righteousness until you spin from what you love. So he went and said, Ya Rasulullah, this is the most expensive property that I have. It's for you, Allah and you. So the companions, that's what they were upon. Abu Bakr gave all of his money. Umar said, Abu Bakr used to beat me and everything. And then we gave money and I gave half of my wealth, showing he still has some for himself left. But Abu Bakr gave all of his money. So that's how those companions were. But some of them had nice clothes. They would wear nice clothes at the proper time. As time went on, people from the Salaf, they were known for having nice clothes. Imam Abu Hanifa, his clothes were nice. And some of those ulama later on, they had money. Abdullah ibn Mubarak had money, took all of his students to Hajj all the time, and gave them money to buy gifts for their families. So having money is not haram. It's navigating when you got that money. And trust me, the more money that the people have, the more problems and stuff like that. As the Nabi mentioned, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Early in front of you is a steep hill. Those people who are heavily laden won't get over that hill. The more you have of property and things, money, you're going to be questioned about that. You're going to have to question, you're going to have to answer. The less the person has, the less he's going to have to be answerable of the dunya. Any more questions, my brothers? Abdul Hadi. Yeah, I could see that happening. Like, I don't have to ask, what's the chain of narration for that story? Where that story, no, hear me out. I don't have to ask that, because a story like that is real talk. That someone is real humble, and as soon as they get some cheddar, they change. Sometimes they don't change because they want to change, but they're nice people. They're just sick and tired. Everybody wants money from me. Right now, he's just regular. So he wants to be my friend because he wants to be my friend. But as soon as you get some money, you have wiswas. He just want my money. He just want my money. You can't trust anybody because you think everybody just wants your money. Whereas right now, we're not worried about that. We come out of our houses after Fajr. We come out and we just get in our cars, right? We just do the usual head on a swivel, you know, look on the roof, make some sure nobody on the roof. You get in the car, you lock the door, and you're ready though. But you're not really worried. We're just you guys don't do that. What you trying to say? I'm paranoid. I mean, they ain't getting me, brother. Inshallah. I'm gonna give them something in the process, inshallah. So not having the money can be a ni'mah. And similar to that for you brothers who are who you are married and you don't have children. Sisters who are married and they don't have children. Don't be one of those people who say, oh, my life is not complete, I don't have children. Maybe if you had children, the complexities of having children, especially once they start becoming teenagers, is a trip. It's something. So just being a balance. Okay, Ikhwani, want to always welcome my man Rip Wright, Shuaib, my homie Qasim, always here. My man Kenya, mashallah, we congratulate Kenya with his new look. May Allah bless him. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum.